You're listening to Health Professional Radio. Today my guest joins me from Perth in Western Australia. Claire Orange is the Director of the Best Program for Kids. Claire, welcome to Health Professional Radio.
Thank you.
Now Claire, tell me a little bit about Best Program for Kids, because the name itself kind of doesn't illustrate what it is you do. So fill us in.
Right. Well, Best Programs for Kids is run by myself and Helen Davidson, who was Kids Mix Australia. And we've come together to form BEST, which stands for Behavioural, Emotional, Social Skills Training for Kids. But it is the best for kids. So yes, it's all come together for both of us.
Now, is this a training program that you offer only in Perth, or do you offer it on a wider footprint? How is it delivered?
We do a lot of training in and around Perth, but certainly we have an audience over on the east coast of Australia as well. So Helen Davidson looks after Victoria, and we both speak widely at conferences and have products going out to schools, clinics all over Australia all the time. So we offer training widely. We also have a market in Hong Kong, so we're working with an occupational therapist up there and developing a very big market. And a lot of the resources we've written are being translated into Chinese. And 2016 is an exciting year. We'll be both in Canada and the UK next year. So definitely growing.
Well, that's a good thing to be doing if you're a business. And fortunately, all the countries you've talked about are countries where we've got stations. So we'll give it a little plug in those countries for you while we're going.
Fantastic.
Now, Claire, a lot of what you talk about on your website is about resilience as one of the keys to happiness and success for children. Explain what you mean.
Resilience is something that we all need in bucket load. So it's just a given. We say it to children like this. We say it's a FOPL. It's a fact of playground life. There's your FOPL, FOPL, FOPL. That you're going to come across big and little adversities. In our program, we call them bumps and hazards. So we're all travelling along the highway of life, every single one of us, and we're all going to experience bumps and hazards. It's a given. If we have good tools to get past those bumps and hazards, we're being resilient. We're bouncing back out of this thing we call life that happens to every one of us. And both Helen and I, as mental health clinicians working with children and with families, know that the big problems we hit in our teen children are often due to low resilience factors in children, where they haven't quite figured out how to bounce back out of the tough stuff that's just enmeshed in the fabric of living. So we're both very big on promoting resilience as a core mental health preventative factor in children, teens and adults. So it's our driving force really, is building resilience.
And the idea of, or the analogy of explaining it as bumps and hazards on life's highway is just brilliant. Congratulations on the image that brings forward. Now, you talk about tools. Can you give me some example of the tools that you talk about with children?
We have lots of tools. We know that, and I'm sure that you've had those experiences where you've been under pressure, you've gone to bed that night and you've thought, I wish I said that. That would have been a snappy comeback. But it's far too late and the moment has passed you by. So what we try and do is give children tools that are memorable. So we have lots of triple A's. So we have the triple A's for teasing. So you can accept, you can go through all of these processes whereby you start to become in control of the experience. You might ask a question or you might assert yourself too. So when you're learning in the classroom, we've got the triple A's there. So you need to avoid distractions. You need to know how to apply yourself and how to approach a task. There's your triple A's. So we use lots of things for children that help them remember them in the moment, and that helps to develop their control and their inner locus of control as well, instead of having to run to an adult to get assistance. So we have lots of acronyms like the friendliness spice or the triple A's. We've got triple B's that we teach children to allow them to take control of their experience of life. So those are the tools that they pull out of their toolbox.
It does sound like an amazingly pragmatic intervention to what I'm sure a lot of people feel very disempowered by.
I agree. And, it's quite remarkable how many people have said to us when we've presented. So I was presenting at a school last week, and there was a woman who approached me at the end in tears and said, if only I knew this when I was a child. If only I knew this when I was a child. It's not rocket science, but, it's control that I've gone through my life feeling like others are in control of me and my happiness. And it's actually me. And she's right.
Yes, what an insight. Now, Claire, many of our listeners today will be clinicians of some sort or other, mainly in acute care and aged care. And I know aged care is at the other end of the spectrum from where you normally work. What would you like clinicians to take away from hearing you today as your key message?
Well, my biggest thing that I talk about to clinicians is that prevention is far better than any cure that we can come up with. So anyone in acute care is having to come up with very rapid decisions about caring for people. We know that if we keep older people well, mentally well, physically well, cognitively well, they do better for longer. And we know that with young people as well, that if we take the time in their early years to promote this rather than doing it when they are, feeling suicidal or getting into self-harming behaviours, that we can circumvent that journey for so many by doing good preventative care. So for clinicians, running social skills groups, running self-regulation training groups for children, what it does is it takes children out of the care system later on, and we can and should teach all children this from early on.
Yes, it does sound like one of those circumstances where we're spending money at the wrong end of the spectrum a little bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely, but if you look at the whole story in mental health, when we talk about mental health, we're not actually talking about mental health, we're talking about mental illness. So we're dealing with mental illness. We haven't really got the handle on dealing with mental health, which is preventative, keeping the mind healthy.
Yes. Claire, in every industry there are misconceptions, and it's my favourite question in every interview. What are the biggest misconceptions in your business that drive you crazy and keep you up at night?
Well, I think probably the thing that frustrates me the most is when people ask me what I do, and I tell them, they say, oh yes, all of those children with problems. But this isn't just children with problems. I do work with children with significant issues with their mental health. But the stuff that Best Resources is about is every child, every day. That every child needs this. Not every child is a social butterfly. In fact, very few are, which means that they will experience social anxiety. Not every kid, despite being bright, knows how to learn. And we need to teach those skills. People feel that when we talk about mental health, it's for people with issues. And it's not. It's for every single one of us. We all brush our teeth, twice a day generally is the given rule, some more, some less. So we take a lot of care of our oral hygiene, and mental hygiene is no different. It's every person, every day, not just when you become unwound and, things start to fall apart in your life. So I think that's the bit that I have this constant communication about, is this isn't just for children with issues, this is for every kid.
Let's hope that today we can spread that message a little further for you and help with that misconception just a little. Now, Claire, I have a website here for you on my notes, and I guess that's the best way for people to get further information if they need it. I have www.bestprograms4kids. So that's bestprograms and then the digit number 4kids.com.
That's the one.
So that will be on our station notes, folks. If you're tried and you're confused about the spelling or the mix of digits and letters, it'll be in the notes on this story on our website, along with a transcript of my chat with Claire. If you've just missed my conversation with Claire Orange, the Director of Best Program for Kids, read the transcript. It's on our website, along with an audio archive as well on YouTube and SoundCloud. And you can get all of those resources at www.hpr.fm. Claire, I do appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us.
Wayne, thank you so much for giving this some air and giving it an audience and a platform to be heard. I'm very grateful.
My pleasure. You're listening to Health Professional Radio. My name is Wayne Bucklar, and I've just been chatting with Claire Orange, Director of Best Program for Kids.